All right, we're going to be installing a 2-panel graphic on a fixture, and we're going to start with a little bit of wall prep. We have a sanding sponge, usually a medium grit, fine, kind of works the best. You can feel little bumps on pretty much everything it's going to go on if you just run your hand over it. So we'll just hit it with the sponge. Don't have to hit it too hard, we're just trying to knock off the little bumps here and there. You want to cover the whole wall, top to bottom. And then if there is anything that's bigger and standing up, I usually like to take a screwdriver or something hard, plastic, and just kind of tap them down a little bit. Saves you a little time from sitting there trying to sand them off. And that way it's not sticking up under the graphic, making a big dimple. Once we get the whole wall sanded down, we're just going to take a damp rag, not too wet, just a little damp to kind of pick up the dust, and wipe that whole wall down. Get rid of that dust and stuff underneath so our graphic adheres well. You just want to cover the whole surface and turn your rag over a lot so you get a clean surface on it. You want to wipe the floor at the base really well too, because you'll get all your debris from sanding. It's going to fall down. And when you get down to the bottom with the graphic, there's usually a lot of static, and that'll pick that up behind the graphic on the adhesive. I have a mark for my top, so I kind of have an idea, but again, on the fixture, there'll be a top to start from. Tack it in place here. Couple pieces. I'm going to check my bottom to see how close I am to the floor. Pretty close. And check the long side of the graphic to see how level we are. You want to apply it square to the fixture so the bottom runs true. And also if there's any text or anything on your panel, you're going to want to line that up level. And you want to leave a little extra on the bottom to trim off because you don't want to come up short. For each side, we're going to make a hinge at the top. I usually like to use at least 2 pieces of tape because otherwise the single piece will rip a lot of times. And we're going to take the top little bit here that we created our hinge, and we're going to peel the backer off. Just let the graphic fall down on itself, face to face. Take a scissors. I'm going to trim that liner off. You want to make it nice and straight. We're going to take the graphic and fold it up and just pull it just a little bit tight to make sure it's not sagging. Tack it a little bit and tack it in the center. A couple times in the center and then on the other side. So get it stuck a little bit. We're going to take our felt squeegee and use the felt side. Start in the center again and go up and out to the edges. It's going to stick our top part of our hinge down there. And that's going to set our panel. We want to make sure it's nice and straight because now our panel's set. We're going to peel our tape off from our hinge. Down to the bottom. And I like to roll the panel up on itself. It's a little easier to manage. I'm going to come back up to the top. Pull it out and away. grab that liner again, start peeling that down. Slowly peel it down, holding it away from the wall. And it's okay if it touches the wall a little bit because it's not, we didn't put any pressure on it with the squeegee, so it's not going to stick very hard. You have to peel that liner down and leave about a foot or so on the bottom. Just kind of holds the bottom straight. That back up again. Again, it's not stuck, it's just kind of static to the wall. Let it come back in. I'm pulling down just a little bit, but I don't want to pull down very hard. I just want to make sure it's nice and flat. If you look at an angle to the graphic, you should be able to see where you stop squeegeeing your last point of contact. And we're going to start in the center again. We're going to hold our squeegee at an angle. It's kind of like a snowplow, so you want to push the air down and to the side. So you want to keep that angle when you go from side to side and turn in the squeegee each time. When you get to the edge, you kind of lock that edge in, a little extra squeegee stroke. Just work it back and forth. And I'm not pushing super hard yet, because we want to just get them on there first. And you can see here where it's kind of starting to bunch a little bit. This is my bottom. I'm just going to come back down, pop that back up again. Start again. Now I'm getting close to that liner, so I want to pull the rest of that liner off. Be careful doing that so you don't let the graphic touch on itself. Kind of pulling down a little again and getting it to lay flat on the wall. And just keep working it back and forth. I'm going to take the other side of my squeegee, the hard side, and just snap that down, straight down, so it makes a nice crease on the bottom. I'm going to mark that with the tape. Line up the top exactly. Tack this corner. Hold this side. Check my tape again. I'm just going to go down and check my bottom piece of tape for my overlap. Hold that down. Let the graphic fall down on itself, face to face. Pull our top up. A little bit of tension on there so it's not sagging. Tack the side, tack the middle, tack the other side. Start in the middle again, go up and to the sides. Work that air out and up. Just kind of tape off. Down to the bottom again. Roll it up on itself. Away from the wall, grab the backer, pull that down. about a foot again on the bottom. Just kind of hold the bottom square. You can see how it kind of bunched up on itself. It's basically just static to the wall. Pop it up to our hinge. Hold it out tight to the sides. A little pressure on it so it lays down flat. Just slowly bring it back to the wall. Check our overlap on the tape. It's right on. Hold that angle on the squeegee again so we don't force any air up into it. Forcing the air down and out. Down to my liner. Pull the rest of the liner off. And pulling down a little bit, make sure it lays flat. And just barely tack the bottom a little bit just to kind of hold it. Finish it down to the floor again with our other side. Kind of snap it in there. Let's go back the other direction. We started squeegeeing it left to right. So then to finish it off, we'll go top to bottom. And here I'm doing it harder. So I want to have the panel in place already. Everything's lined up, so I want to stick it down good. I want to cover the whole graphic that way. And if there is something, you'll hear it underneath there. You hear that little popping noise. There's a little air bubble. You just work that out. We do have that little bit of extra. We'll take our utility knife. Trim that off. I'm just holding the blade flat against the wall. A nice even cut. Just peel that off. For the outlet, you want to kind of make a tent with the material right over the whole outlet. You don't have to worry about getting it squeegeed real tight around it, but we want a nice even tent over the top of the whole thing. You don't want to make any tunnels or creases in it. When you get to the bottom, you usually got to pull the bottom down a little bit, and it'll pull that taut. You can take the edge of the squeegee, kind of just make your tent there. You can see you got a little bit of a tunnel right there. I'm going to work that out. Sometimes you got to do it a couple times. There. Now I got a nice little tent across my whole outlet cover. And again, we're not squeegeeing super hard here in our first passes, so if we, worst case, if we did have to pop it back up to work one of those creases out, we could still do that. But once you got it nice and even, you can see they're all going to work out. You can come in a little harder with the squeegee. Just work it into that outlet cover. I'm actually going to take the hard side of my squeegee, the sharp side, and work it right down into that cover, as close as I can get it. It's not going to go all the way, so you have to make some relief cuts, but we want to get it close. You don't want to push too hard because you might pop your squeegee through that material. You just get it probably right about there. It's about as close as you're going to get. And you can find the corners of your outlet cover with your finger. Kind of mark the corner. We're going to take a knife. We're going to make a light cut on the corners. And ultimately, we're going to make a big X right across the outlet cover. There. Pull that back to the corner. And what we're doing is basically making 4 triangle-shaped flaps across that cover. And I'm going to pull it back slow because when it comes off, it's going to go all of a sudden. I don't want to tear that graphic. Go back with your squeegee. I like to kind of start at the corners and get that corner down, and the material will go now because we made those relief cuts. Use pretty good pressure. And you just work it right into the corner of that cover. And you want to make sure it's loose off the cover, because if it's stuck on there, it's not going to go down all the way to the wall. And you're going to see that when you trim it. Keep it down. All 4 flaps off. Just work it down again. And a nice trim around the whole cover. If by some chance you're working with your graphic and it does happen to fall on itself, adhesive to adhesive, which you want to try to avoid anyway, but if it does happen, it's not totally lost. But if it just happens to kind of fall on itself, like that maybe, if you're working with the top and something happens or your tape tears or something, you just slowly peel it off of itself. You might have to peel it down a little more to hold the back. You can see it is stuck, but it should come apart. Like I said, unless you were to really stick it together, just got to have a little patience and just kind of work it out like that. And you can just put it back up and it would be totally fine. Doesn't affect the adhesive at all or anything. You squeegeed on top of that hard. That's why I like to squeegee soft too to begin with, because you can feel that stuff. And that won't happen, but if it does happen and it gets a crease in itself like that, you can work that out too. You just peel that down. If it was on the bottom, we could peel the bottom up. Get to that crease, kind of pull it apart a little bit first. Make sure it's not stuck on itself. You can see we still have a pretty good crease. And actually what kind of works the best is if you have a hair dryer or a heat gun, just kind of hold that out. You want to just put a little bit of heat on there, not a lot, and you want to hold it away so you don't get the material too hot. But if you put heat on there, you'll see that crease will relax itself out and it'll gradually disappear. It doesn't take very much heat. Actually, pull it back up first. You kind of take your finger and hold that material and kind of work it out. You rub your finger across it here, and kind of get it out pretty much all the way out of there. I'm pulling up on the material and just working on that crease a little. It's pretty much out. It's still there a little bit. I'm going to lay the material back down, squeegee it out. Even if you go back with your finger and rub across there, make a little heat with your finger too. You can pretty much get that to go away. And it's all gone.